Hey everybody, so we are doing another country vlogs take me home, so you don't have to stare at my ugly face, but just wanted to give a slight update. I'm going to attempt to try to do an introduction to the haunted history shorts, and then also I'd like to do maybe an introduction to this French and Indian War series. Just do that separate so it won't wind up being such a long video, because I'm trying to figure out what's the best approach to it, and I'm just figuring I need to split the first video just to make it a little easier. That is a nice car. Oh my gosh. Don't really care for the paint scheme on the sides, but I love those old like sedans. Just really neat. But anyways, just sort of a vlog prayer request, I guess would be more so the appropriate thing. I had this bronchitis and really took my system down. I was actually just leaving the doctors. I had probably, with about 3 weeks to go on the cast, I had felt like I got cellulitis. It's just something I've always had to deal with, and I didn't want to go back into the cast that particular time because I felt I should have been on an antibiotic, and they just felt ultimately that wasn't the right route to go. I think unfortunately I was probably right, because I think with my body getting knocked down so hard, the cellulitis came back, and it came back pretty hard. Thankfully, the infection is not something worse, but it wound out breaking down the wound again, and that's disappointing to me, because this is sort of, you guys followed my journey. It just seems like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but it keeps on getting moved down the road, and unfortunately this thing didn't break down bad, but it's bad enough that it needs to be taken care of. So I got to be on an antibiotic again for 10 days, which I'm all right with, because it knocks this fully out of my system and goes from there. But what this probably means as well, with it breaking down again, is I'm going to have a foot surgery. Now thankfully the foot surgery that I'm going to have is not amputation related. It's basically like on my left leg, I had to get the Achilles tendon lengthened, I guess you could say. They call it a heel cord extension surgery. It was sort of painful, but it's one of those things, they sort of did it within those 4 surgeries, and it was necessary. It just is one of those things to give, since I don't have the toes on the left foot anymore and the front part of my foot, I have no push-off capability. So to give my ankle more maneuverability, they sort of lengthen the cord to give it more flexibility, and I haven't had any trouble with the left foot since. The only thing I've had is because of the cast and stuff like that, some of my ligaments are a little strained because there's a little more strain on the left leg, and the foot every now and then hurts, but there's no breakdowns. So that ultimately may have to be what happens with the right foot, which I'm hoping it isn't, because I'll have to relearn how to walk, because I'll have no toes anymore, and I won't have that push-off capability. My balance will be completely different, which means I'll have to be walking with a cane for the rest of my life, which also means in reality I probably at some point, hopefully a long ways down the road, I'll probably have to wind up going in a wheelchair or something like that. So it's just the mobility issues. I sort of wonder what it'll affect my driving, but that's a slight possibility at this point, but a reality potentially. What surgery I'll have to have is I'll have to go in my foot, and I'll have to lengthen some of the tendons just to sort of take some of the weight off of my right big toe, because right now everything's on there and it's right below that where it's breaking open, and it just sort of, like, I feel all right, but it's just sort of, I think it's more the psychology of it, is you just constantly feel like this is never going to end, and you know, it's trying to have some kind of normalcy in life is very, very hard. So I don't want to be going back into a cast, because I think the only way the cast would potentially work, and that's potentially, is it'd have to be on for probably 8 weeks. just because you have about 3 weeks is what it takes to heal, and then probably another five or six to basically get it to the point where it's healed enough that it shouldn't break down. But I think, like the doctor had said to my surgeon, had said, you're probably going to have this just to sort of take some of that strain off, because the second toe and metatarsal not being there, metatarsal being the bone that goes from your toe to your ankle, that's the second toe that takes all the weight, because I guess your big toe and your second toe are what your primary weight distribution goes on. The majority of your weight, I guess you could say, is the best way. And the other 3 toes, your smaller toes, are more take weight, but more for balance. So with lengthening these different tendons and stuff like that, it would start doing a weight distribution a little more on some of those other toes, which would probably change the way I walk a little more, but it would take all that pressure off of that big toe area, which is the area that breaks down. And then hopefully we don't have this problem anymore. And like I said before, worst case scenario, then they do what they did on the left foot, which was called transmetatarsal surgery. And then I have 2 hooves, which I'm not excited about, but at least I'll be a full centaur instead of a half man, half centaur. You know, I can have fun with that then, I guess. I can be a full little My Little Pony. I'll be Peaches or whatever I'll call myself, Pretty Peach. But so just some prayers that this gets resolved and this takes care of the infection, because I'd really like to not have to go back in the hospital and get IV type stuff, because then I'd be in there for a couple days, and I just don't want that. You know, I've always been treated really, really well, but you know, it just, you go a little nuts with all the times that you're in the hospital and that type of stuff, and it's a journey, and you reach certain places where I'll do what I have to do. So if this, that, or the other thing is needed, you'll do it, but begrudgingly, because you get to the point you get tired of it all, because you're emotionally, you're physically, psychologically, you're just tired. And so, you know, once again, I want to apologize, folks, because I haven't been keeping up with my emails like I had been. So especially Robbie, I really am sorry. I'm going to get back to you, try to get back to you tonight. It's just one of those things that you get in a state where you're just sort of overwhelmed and just tired and exhausted. And the bronchitis, really, that was the worst case of bronchitis I think I've almost ever had. And that really beat my body down. And I just, right now, with my immunity being what it is, having gone through everything I have, it takes a toll on you in many different facets. But you know, overall I'm doing well. It's just I'm trying to catch that stuff up. So depending on what happens, that thing that we're the get together, it might delay it a little bit. I'm hoping not, because I'd like to have it at the end of June, July type area, just because I know the water will be high enough. Because if we don't get a whole lot of rain and the Susquehanna gets too low, they can't run the ferry boat. I just think it'd be a cool experience for anybody that wants to come, because it's just nothing like that exists out there pretty much anymore. And it's a chance to experience a way of travel and logistics that was around for a long, long time. And the Millersburg ferry was one of the oldest ferries there in that area, and along with the John Harris ferry, which is where Harrisburg is currently today. So these ferries were extraordinarily important, especially with the Susquehanna, because of it being such a huge waterway and was used for many different purposes. But the ferries were an extraordinary thing, and it's cool to be able to go. And it to me, it's so relaxing, because the water is just, it's not a fast moving when it's at its normal level, and it's just relaxing seeing the paddle wheel go. It's for me, it has such memories, because that's where my mom's from, and a lot of my family's from Millersburg. So that was a huge part of my childhood, is us going to Millersburg every single year, and just, experiencing that, and just such fond memories that I have. It's going to be cool because a lot of different people that I know are going to be there, and hopefully we'll be able to get a bunch of other YouTubers along as well for the trip. And so it'll be an opportunity to not just, YouTubers to get together, content creators, but also subscribers will be able to come, and viewers will be able to come and meet a number of different YouTubers in person, and it'll be a cool event. But so I'll keep you guys posted. Also, the Painted Squirrel company that I was talking about, that's going to have all my photography up, they are up now. I am going to get a link up as soon as Sharon and Josh are working on currently on my stuff. They got some of their things up first just to figure out the system, because it's a long process, because they're working through an AI company, artificial intelligence, that creates artwork. Then they're putting it all together themselves. It's a project, so they're trying to figure all those out. And then the cool thing that they're actually doing with my photography is, like, for instance, the first one that we're doing is Monroe Valley Chapel, which we visited on several occasions. They're actually going to have a QR code on there somewhere that will take you directly to my YouTube site, but there's also going to be the physical GPS locations of where the photographs were taken. So you'll be able to actually go on, like, Google Maps or whatever, or if you want to visit it yourself, you'll have the location on any of those products, which I think is a really cool idea that Josh came up with. But so that's where we're at. I just wanted to make this quick video to pop that up. Right now it's around 2 o'clock today, and I'm hoping this will be up maybe 6, because I'm going back to doing my job. I got a part-time job as a contractor, cleaning chairs and things like that. I can sit down and do it, and they understand my condition. It's like that, because some days I've got 5, maybe 6 hours in me, and then other days I only have like 2 hours in me, and it's just a matter of, like a lot of you guys have said, you guys have been awesome. It's just like, know your limits, and when you hit that, stop, and you can go back, and that they understand that, and they're just awesome people there. It's called the Event Collective, and in Quinton, Pennsylvania, and I'm so fortunate that she gave me opportunity to have that job. So cool place, and stuff like that you really, really appreciate, because it's hard at times trying to make ends meet and figure things out, and this is allowing me to do that now. And it's good for me not only to get out, but also to be able to feel good about myself again, that I'm able to do something, because I'm sort of accepting that I'm trying to think of my brain's not functioning fully today. The disability is probably going to be more of a long haul. It just is what it is, and honestly, I've sort of reached a point where if they're just like, well, it's going to be 2-3 years, I may just see what I'm able to do myself and go from there. As long as I can get into the housing that I'm hoping to get into, it's based on income, and figure things out from there, I may be able to do it on my own, and then I don't have to be under the thumb of these different organizations that really at the end of the day are not that interested in helping you. And because that sort of bothers me a little bit, because it's like, it's there to help, and sometimes you just can't get where you need to get, and it is what it is. But we'll see what happens. But overall it's good. It's just another bump in the road, but I just wanted to give you guys an update. I'm hoping, like I said, maybe I can start getting this weekend. I have a number of these live videos, and now that my voice is back, I can start doing some things audio-wise and try to start getting some content up again, because I'd like to get that moving smoothly with the channel again, because I miss it. It just hasn't been one of those things that's hasn't been really possible to do up to this point. Now I'm finally getting to the stage where I can again. So as always, I want to say thank you to all you guys, for supporting the channel, for supporting me, and just sticking through this. We'll get back to normalcy at some point, whatever that is. But thank you as always, and we will see you all about town.